chit-chatting girl talk. I am so excited to be here with my friend Melanie, who started off with like not believing my work to being
True.
one being one of the strongest intuitives that has been trained by me. And I just love her. She is a soul sister, a Cuban sister. And I'm just so excited to have her here. When I was thinking about the topic of abundance, which is always just something that we need to think about and to be aware of, I just thought, like, who other than Melanie? So I'm so excited to have you here, Melanie. Thanks for spending time with us. So basically, I want to, if you can intro yourself a little bit, tell me a little bit about yourself and the work that we're going to do today. And then once you start teaching, I'm going to turn my camera off so that you have the stage, and that way I'm not interrupting you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Melanie Santos. Have been leading in the wellness space since 2013. Even before that, I have been in wellness marketing for over 9-10 years now. So my life is really all wellness, mind, body, spirit wellness. I trained with Nikki in Soul Teacher. I was part of her first inaugural group.
My guinea pig group.
Her guinea pig group. It was quite the experience. I know, some of you are in Soul Teacher now and have probably heard about me or like my fears, but this is why I'm so excited to talk about abundance, because it was really my thinking and just training myself to constantly be thinking about abundance that, like, one, got me through, and two, has, like, I'm trying to say this humbly, but like I've, my business has gotten really, really successful after doing Soul Teacher. I'm actually, you don't know this, Nikki, but I'm coming up on, in 6 months, I've been reading for 6 months now. I'm coming up on my 100th reading right now.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps. Yeah. You guys, and Melanie would like show up to class and she'd be like, this is not working.
I would be like, oh, I literally cry every single class. Thank you. Very exciting stuff.
That's Yeti. Yes, Yeti, you're in good company. That was Melanie. She would show up and she'd be like, this is not working. I don't know what's happening. But she stuck to it. And I think that was your biggest success, and sometimes you have to kind of get out of the group setting to be able to like really flourish. And I think that was like your story, Melanie.
Once you start practicing it, it's just like, oh, yes, this is, that's like
literally
part of me. I was born for this. It makes total sense. Everything clicks. So I'm really
excited. Melanie, my favorite is that, like, when I first read you and like it kind of went over your head and then you sent me this like super long email. Remember?
I was one of the clients that I giggle at now. I'm like, oh my God, look at them. And I was definitely that, like, sent Nikki this dissertation 4 months later, because it took me that long to like realize what that call was even about. That feels like such a long time ago. It was
such a long time ago. It really was.
But here I am. And
but this has always been in you. It was just like you were kind of going through a moment of like kind of stepping into that queen self, and like you did it. So this has always been in you. It was like not a surprise. It's just like, I think our relationship was like funny, like
you literally told me on the first call, you were like, we're gonna be really good friends. And I'm like, now I listened to the reading, that was back in 2018. I'm like, was she alluding to something? Like, did she know this the whole time?
I did, Melanie.
Story.
I did. I meet people and I know like right away like who's going to be in. So I'm really proud of you, Jamie. Jamie, I was looking at, we have some people saying like that they needed to hear this that we're talking about. So yeah. And Melanie's always been strong. It's like she just didn't know how strong she was. I pursued her because I knew like I wanted her to be in the group. And I think you would have been just fine without me, but I guess I wanted to like pee on you. I wanted to stamp you.
It would have taken me a lot longer.
Yeah. So Mel, tell me a little bit about kind of how you got into abundance work, and like kind of, I'm sure it started off very different than where it is right now. And if you can tell us a little bit about kind of what we're going to learn today.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about abundance, and that's a really loaded word. I feel like abundance is it's a huge umbrella. Not a lot of people know a lot about it, just because it's just like thrown around so much. My first kind of experience with abundance was when I was starting to really awaken. This is back, I'm for context going to be 32 very soon. This is like early 20s. I started to like, I live in New York City, so we would all meet in like these tiny apartments and have these like soul circles, where we would like take from different customs and do these rituals on the full and new moon, and just like have girl time and drink wine and smoke and like do all these things and try to, you know, set intentions, which was very, very new to me back then. There was one sister circle in particular that I always point out, and it was one where we did a lot of different rituals, a lot of different things, kundalini yoga tactics, like all literally everything. At that point I was miserable, was very, very depressed. Part of my wellness work is mental health advocacy. I've been, you know, openly dealing with generalized anxiety disorder and depression for a very long time, and at that point I was very, very depressed. My boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, when I tell you my story is very interesting, it's very interesting. We were on the verge of our now I know this, it was our last breakup. So I was very like, I was miserable, and I knew there was one intention that I wanted to set, and I just wanted peace in my life. So in that, through all these different activities, the only thing that I wanted to manifest was peace. I just wanted peace. I just wanted peace. I just wanted peace. So I did all these things, wrote peace on a candle and said peace in my mind. And we did one activity that was really odd, where we had to stare into the eyes of another woman, like right across from us, into their eyes for like 3 to 5 minutes and just think about our intention. And I was just like, peace, 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 just like staring at this woman who I had no idea about. So it was just like me working with intention, like real intention for the first time, and then being awake. Something that I would never forget that my teacher then said is like, now you guys are going to leave, you know, wake up and try to see the opportunities for this, that you know, that your intentions are going to bring forth. And I think that was like cracked me open, because for sure, like a month later we broke up, which brought me peace. I got a promotion at my job, which brought me peace. I broke up with a couple of friends that were not serving me, which brought me peace. And I could have thought about it a different way. And then I realized, wait a minute, I was trying to manifest an abundance of peace in some way, like this is abundance for me. And it happened through all these difficult experiences. So I started to really dive in and talk about and read about and, you know, blog about it, video about it. And I've just really been obsessed with what's true manifestation, which we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about abundance, what it means, what keeps us from it. Sort of also touching on the topics that I see, you know, in client sessions now. I'm seeing 5-6 clients a week, and there's like this one thing that always pops up with every single client, and that's usually abundance, and what's keeping us from experiencing an abundant life. And then we'll talk about different ways that we can claim our abundance, because it is our birthright. So very excited.
Yeah. And I love like that topic coming from like the child of an immigrant too, because it's our root chakras are just all sorts of screwy, because like we don't exist on our own land, like we were brought here, we had to like start all over. And it's like, I think it's the work of us, of the child of the immigrant, to really claim abundance and to kind of understand that, because we were raised in survival mode. And you know, abundance only comes after survival, you know, basically. So I love that you're teaching us this.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I'm so passionate about it, is because modern manifestation tactics don't see the people in the margins. And I am a person in the margins just because of the way that I look and because of where I come from. Also, some of the, I don't even want to get into it. Let's just wait till we dive in, because I can stand on my soapbox and be here forever.
Yeah.
But I'm very passionate about this, partially because of
that. Agree. I have the same. I'm excited. So, okay, so what I'm going to do, Mel, is I'm going to turn off my camera, and then all of a sudden you're going to be in the main, and, you know, I'll just come back in once you're finishing up. Okay.
I'm going to share my screen because I have a little presentation. So y'all are
Bye, everybody. Enjoy, Melanie.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Let me share my screen with you. So that y'all can see what I'm about to talk about. You're not staring at me the entire time. How's everybody feeling? Let me know in the chat. Let me see, we have a Q&A option here. So I'm gonna go through the presentation. If you wanna take notes, you can. I don't know if Nikki's gonna have this available for you to watch afterwards. But let's try to hold questions until the end. I think there's a Q&A section here where you click on more if you're on a computer. and there's a Q&A section there. So you can add your questions there as we go on. Okay, cool. She said she's gonna have it in the events replay section in the Soul Collectives, which is awesome, because this is gonna be a lot of information, maybe for some of you who have not, really thought about abundance in this way. So leave all your questions in the Q&A section, because we're gonna, there's gonna be time to answer them afterwards. Let me project my screen so you can tell me what you see. Give me 1 second. Always the awkward part of presentations, right? Okay. Okay, can you all see that screen? Let me make sure I have the chat open. Can everybody see that screen? Okay, I'm seeing yes. Perfect. Let me have the chat open so I can see what's happening. Perfect. Okay. We're going to be talking about abundance, understanding it, claiming it, aligning with it. Again, my name is Melanie Santos. I'm very excited to be here with you. I put my little website in there where you can find me on Instagram, but we'll talk about where you can find me afterwards. But I am an intuitive healer. I am a spiritual guide, wellness leader in the wellness space. And I consider myself an educator because I've really been talking about wellness for a very, very long time. Abundance. What is it, right? Because when we hear about abundance, so many people directly think about money. Is that true for you? If it is, put it in the chat. Who thinks about money the second that we think about abundance? Abundance has so much more to do than money. It has so much more to do with our human experience than it has to do with money. So when we're talking about abundance, at least when I talk about abundance, I'm talking about abundance of all forms. I have the direct definition here: the state or condition of having a copious quantity of something, plentifulness. And I scratched out something and put blessings. For me, when I think about abundance, I think about an abundance of love, of joy, of space, of freedom. Abundance is, to me, the closest that you can get to source energy. So I want you to just, like, if you didn't have that framework of abundance in your head, open up your brain, open up your heart during this presentation, during this chat with you. It's really important to really expand our mind, to expand our consciousness when we're thinking about abundance, because that helps manifest it even more. So let's break it down even further. Let's talk about understanding true abundance and manifestation, because the media portrays a very narrow view of manifestation. And this is, again, partially why I'm so passionate about talking about abundance, about talking about manifesting abundance. What we see right now is a very commodified view of wellness. And we know this if you have an Instagram account, if you have a Twitter account, if you're on Facebook, if you just exist in 2021, you know that everybody is using spiritual terms, spiritual buzzwords to try to get us to buy certain things and do certain things, and talking about rituals and just making it cool, literally commodifying practices that exclude people in the margins. And what I mean by people in the margins are like people of color, people who are under, who don't make a certain amount of money, people who are literally in the margins of society. So we're getting these commodified practices that are helping us like manifest abundance, right? But what we don't realize is that some of those practices and rituals come from, exclude the people in the margins and exclude the people with the origins in the places that create some of these rituals. So for instance, I'm seeing rituals that were created in my motherland of like Cuba. My mother's Cuban, my father's Dominican, being packaged and sold back to me at Urban Outfitters. Has anybody experienced that before, where they're just like, wait a minute, that seems familiar? It just doesn't make sense. And it's so widely portrayed this way. I've recently gotten on TikTok. Who else is on TikTok? I am obsessed with it. It is amazing. And obviously our phones are always listening to our conversations. So my TikTok is specifically catered to like spirituality and wellness. And I see some of these manifestation hacks, manifestation tips that come up. And I'm like, what? One of them that I just laughed at was, if you write something down 5,000 times, it's gonna come true. It's like it's gonna come to you. If you sing this certain very popular like viral song, this thing is gonna manifest for you. And that is absolutely not true. You know, somebody who is poor, who is without a job, who is not able to, you know, afford something or doesn't have something, is not going to be able to write something down 5,000 times and manifest this thing. That is absolutely not how it works. So again, partially why I am so passionate about this is because most of society has lost reverence for what abundance is and has lost reverence for like what manifestation is. You know, when we talk about vision boards, how many of you made a vision board for 2021? While I take a sip, I want to know. Yep. Yeah, I did one too. I've been making vision boards my whole life. How many people did you see in the media that were having vision board workshops? A lot, right? A lot of people are having vision board workshops and, you know, joining their family and friends together. But like, how much education is being shared about what real abundance is and real manifestation is? People literally think, and I'm telling you this because I have clients who come to me during readings and say this to me, like, oh, but I put it on my vision board, you know, it's going to come true, right? No, that's not how it works. So I really want to get to the bottom of what this is. And I really wanted to let you guys know why I'm so passionate about this. Okie dokie. So understanding our connection to all that is. And I have some names here. So when I say universe, when I say source, when I say God, when I say spirit, when I say the divine, I all mean the same things. I see many different clients and feed an audience of thousands and thousands of people that follow different religions, have different ideologies. I always say fill in the blank, like call it whatever you want to call it. But when I talk about this, I'm talking about a higher power, because you and I and every person on the planet are that higher power, are the entire universe manifesting through a nervous system in a human body. So I really want to get to the bottom of like, how are we even connected to abundance before we understand how to claim it? Because that's really important. Our mindset, what we say, what we think, how we live is what creates our experience. When we're talking about abundance, again, we're talking about our experience. So we really have to understand you and I and every person on the planet are the entire universe manifesting through a nervous system in our human body. Like if you think about it, look at pictures of, you know, what our eyeballs look like and what the veins look like. They look like a planet. Look at what our nervous system look like, our veins, our blood, and our bodies. We literally look like the universe, which is such a beautiful phenomenon. But beside that, regardless of what you call it, each one of us was perfectly crafted in this body to house a soul with a divine purpose. There is no separation. Like beyond that, because we were all crafted in this certain way, and obviously there are differences in skin color and hair type and whatever, but we all have these bodies that are perfectly made and divinely made for our specific purpose. Because of that, there is no separation between me or you or any living thing that exists in this moment. Everything that was created by whatever omnipotent force. Again, you can call it whatever you want, by this omnipotent force that exists in each one of us. Is that making sense? Anything that we can hear, that we can smell, that we can hear, that we can taste and feel on the outside can also be found on the inside of us. You know, so acknowledging this cosmic union between the macrocosm, which is the entire universe, and then the microcosm, which is the entire universe in us, is very, very important, and something that most people don't think about. It's very, very important. It's actually essential to understanding what abundance really means. Okay. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Because of this, no one living being is special. I mean, I hate to say that you're not special. We are all special in our own way, but we are literally equal. We are all human beings. We've all come here with a sole purpose. We've all lived and been iterated into different human bodies over time to pursue a certain mission, to live out a certain purpose, and we continue to do it and continue to do it and continue to do it, and evolve in some way. And we'll get into the specifics of evolution and like how that plays a part and how it connects us and separates us. But it's really important to understand that what you do creates a ripple effect that affects me, and what I do as a result creates a ripple effect that affects someone else, and so on and so forth. Like, we are literally all connected. We are all involved in one way or another. We live in an abundant universe. Again, the macrocosm and then the microcosms that live within the macrocosm. We live in an abundant universe that's endlessly and infinitely miraculous. It is divinity and consciousness in constant motion. And because of that, we are one with it. We too have access to this infinite abundance. Now I'm going to say that again. Because we are part of this macrocosm, we are the microcosm within the macrocosm. We are connected to everything and everyone around us, from every human being to every plant to everything that isn't man-made. We are connected, and because of this connection to it, to the superpower, to source, to spirit, we too have access to its abundance. One of my favorite quotes ever is, we aren't only associated with all the divinity that is the universe, we are all the divinity that is the universe. That quote is from me, by the way. I said it as if somebody else said it, but I made that up a couple of years ago, and I've been using it to teach ever since, because when you say it like that, does it not put everything into perspective for you? It's really crazy. How are we feeling? I ask that because I realize that when I have these conversations with people don't realize how big a part we play in our own abundance, in our own experience. We're so used to, and I know me for sure, I grew up in the Catholic Church. I went to Catholic school from age 2 to age 21. I also went to a Catholic college, and we're taught, through Catholicism, through Christianity, to pray to this higher thing and ask for forgiveness to this higher power. But we're not often taught that we're so connected to that higher power, that we are part of it. And because we're connected and made from it, we are also it. Okay. So I just love to offer this type of perspective, that we are not only associated with all the divinity of the universe, we are all the divinity. The universe is divinity and consciousness in constant motion. And because of that, we're one with it. Okay. Just wanted to offer that little bit of perspective. Now, let's talk about some important stuff, right? Because we're often blocked from it. How many of you have ever questioned, why am I not manifesting this one thing? Or am I blocked in some way? I'm sure if you're here, if you're part of Soul Collective, or you're part of Soul Teacher or Soul Leader or Soul Seeker, you're often asking yourself, what the hell is wrong with me? Is there something that's blocking me? What's blocking my blessings, right? So we're going to talk about what blocks us from experiencing our abundance. Number one, this is where we get juicy, guys, okay? And this is where you take out your notepads and you take notes, because some of these people I notice don't think about. Number one is that we think we can manifest whatever we want. And that is not true. Okay. And I had to learn this the hard way. Obviously, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been studying this personally and in community for a very long time. We are not here to manifest whatever we want. And I know that may be tough for some people who have watched The Secret. How many of you have watched The Secret? Or watch Oprah, who's obsessed with manifestation and obsessed with spirituality. We are not here to manifest whatever we want. And that is prime knowledge. Because we exist as the microcosm to this macrocosm, because we are tiny universes in this bigger universe, and we are connected and we have all this abundance, we can't just ask. That's not how it works. We cannot ask this higher power to be in service of us, which is why I put spirit, God, source is not our errand boy. We cannot be just writing our intentions and just asking for things to happen. If the universe is in service to us, we are also in service to the universe, because it's here to serve and love us and to inspire us and to move us and push us along and to exist. We are also here to do the same. We are here to serve and to love and to shine, to inspire others to serve, to love, and to shine on their own. We are literally giving and taking. That is the flow of abundance. It is the cycle of giving that allows for the cycle of receiving. Are y'all with me? That is so important. And I realize that not a lot of people think about that when we think about manifesting, when we think about why we're doing these vision boards, when we think about why we're writing in these journals, why we're doing these moon rituals. It's so important to know that it is the cycle of giving that allows for receiving. One of my favorite quotes that I have here from one of my favorite books is by Deepak Chopra, from the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, where he says, "And in our willingness to give that which we seek, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. Very important. I also want to, I see somebody raising their hand. If you have questions, please put it in the Q&A box. There's like a Q&A section here, because I do want to do a Q&A at the end, and I don't want you to miss your questions or forget your questions. So put your questions in the Q&A, because I want to get to them at the end. Something else that I wanted to touch on along these same lines of like, we are not here to manifest whatever we want. Most times, what we think we want is not what we need. Most times, what we think we physically want is what we are spiritually lacking. A moment of silence, because that's very important, and something that I see in almost every client session. I see somebody who is trying really, really hard and intending to become or focus on or manifest this one thing, whether it be, oh, I need to be this certain way, or like I need this physical thing. Like for instance, somebody who wants to manifest a house, right? 4-bedroom house with all these whatever, or like this car, this sports car, right? Because when we get the sports car, what's going to happen? What do we think is going to happen when we get this thing? We are able to manifest this thing. We think it's going to make us happy. That's what we're really after. We're after the happiness, not this specific material thing. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat how you're feeling, because it's something that's so important as well. What we think we physically want is what we are spiritually lacking. When I talk to clients about like what it is that they want to manifest, when I'm talking to them about intuition, one of the things that comes up all the time is like relationships. I want to manifest this relationship, right? I want to manifest like this guy or girl, and he or she is like tall, dark, and handsome, and like whatever, and we do all these beautiful things, and we have this beautiful love. That's great. I want that for you too, boo-boo. But are you loving yourself? What you're after is not the person. Sorry, I live in New York City. Sorry, that is so loud. What you're after is not the person. What you're after is the love. So we want to make sure in this giving and receiving that we're also giving and receiving to ourselves. Okay? Part of the reason why we go after things that we're spiritually lacking is because we have our ego in the driver's seat. For those of you who don't understand the ego so much, and I'm sure you do because you're part of Soul Collective, but I want to reiterate, our ego has a purpose. I cringe when I see these like spiritual teachers talk about, oh, your ego is not your amigo, or like you need to suppress the ego death. The ego does serve a purpose. The ego is in us to give us our personality, to make us unique, to keep us protected. It's our ego that, in a conversation says, held up, no, or like argues. Our ego does serve a purpose. However, it is when our ego is in the driver's seat, when it becomes overactive, that it makes us over-identify with our humanness, with like the physical aspects of ourselves and the world around us. When that happens is when we think that if we buy this certain thing, this is what's going to make us happy. If we do this, if we change ourselves to be this certain way, this is going to bring us an abundant life. And that's not necessarily true. When you have this balanced spirit, when you're able to like you could have your ego in the car, but the ego doesn't need to be in the driver's seat. The ego could be in the back, and not backseat driving either. When the ego is not in the driver's seat and your intuition is there, when your spirit is there, where you have this mind, body, spirit connection that's intact, is when everything starts to become really, really aligned. So before we start thinking about like abundance, when you leave this workshop and you start to really think about the intentions that you set in a different light, I want you to really think about why you want something and what you want before setting these intentions, or focusing on manifesting something. Also think about this before you get like readings. I'm sure you're here because you've maybe gotten a reading with Nikki and or with someone else who recommended you to join this group. Like think about what it is that you want and what kinds of questions you have before diving into this work. Number 2, part of the reason why we may be blocked from our abundance is that we are manifesting the opportunities to create an abundant life, but we are too attached to our own perceived results to see it. If I had $1 for every time I had this conversation with somebody, We do not manifest things. We do not manifest people. We manifest opportunities to connect ourselves, to get connected with these people, these resources, these things, these places. Okay. Again, we do not manifest these things into our life. We manifest the opportunities to connect with them. Um, Even more important than that is like being in service, which we just talked about, this act of giving, receive, give and receive. Being in service to the universe, ask for our unattachment. So we intend for this thing, we really, really want it. So like, let me bring up the situation of the relationship, right? If you want to manifest a relationship, I want to manifest this relationship, Melanie, but like you say that I shouldn't write down that he's tall, dark, and handsome, or she looks a certain way, or they work at this certain job. What do I write down? Something that is really, really important, and we'll get to this later on when I discuss how we should really be setting intentions, is focusing on the feelings instead of the things. Okay, focusing on the feelings instead, and then detaching ourselves from the specific outcome. So instead of writing he or she looks this way, or he or she makes this amount of money, or we live in this specific type of house, you write things down like, my partner makes me feel this way. My partner and I travel to 6 countries a year. All feelings that you can embody. That way you can detach yourself from what they look like, what this thing that you're trying to manifest looks like. Detach yourself from when it comes, because that's not important. Nikki, if you're still around, how many times, if you had $1 for every time somebody asks you, well, when is this thing going to happen? How much money would you have right now? You know, I've only been doing readings for so long, and it's literally the question that many people ask. It's like, well, when is it going to happen? That's our ego. It does not matter, because everything happens in divine time. The more that we remind ourselves that we are intricately connected to spirit, to source, to whatever it is that's feeding us these opportunities, and like, you know, pulling the strings and creating this fabric of life, the less the less that we want to control it. Okay, how are we doing? This is very, very important stuff, and I'm so happy to be having this conversation with you guys, because it's just something that I see on a daily basis. So the next time that you're looking at your intention list or looking at your vision board, and you're like, I know it's going to be tough. So some of you are going to go to your vision boards and realize that you do have a specific car or a specific piece of equipment or a specific thing on there, and that's okay. But also know that you put that on there because you're like, you need the visual, but you're also detaching yourself from that specific opportunity to get that thing landing in your lap, and focusing more on the opportunities that are going to come, right? So focusing more on, well, opening my eyes and really clarifying my intuition, being in tune with myself, so that when this thing comes, I know that I have to act in this certain way for it to come to fruition. Because we have to become the person able to sustain this abundance. We have to become the person able to sustain this blessing, not the person that gets the thing, but the person able to have the thing. Okay. And number 3, which I already kind of alluded to, is that we are not matching our intentions with necessary action. This is so important, y'all. I mean, this isn't obvious and a given, but like, again, so many people think that we can just manifest the things, the people, the resources, and it'll just like, it's going to come to me, it's going to land in my lap, and we're saying all these affirmations, and I am this and I am that, and da 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 da. And that's all great and dandy. But again, if we're not seeing the opportunity when it comes up, we won't be able to see it. We won't be able to seize that moment and then act on bringing these things, these opportunities, these blessings into fruition. Very important. Intention is nothing without action, and action is nothing without intention. If I also had $1 for every time somebody told me that they wrote something down in their journal X many times, but they haven't gone to finally do that thing. Like, I had a client last week. She's like, I really want this job. And I'm like, so how many times are you applying for it? I've only done it once. I'm like, girl, what is happening? You're not matching, you know, the necessary action to this intention. Very, very important. Okay. So, am I going too fast? Are we following? Do we need a water break? How are we doing? Because next we're going to talk about how do we claim this abundance? How do we actually do it? Perfect. Michelle says perfect pacing. Thank you. How do we claim our abundance? If abundance is our birthright and we're doing it right, we're staying intentional, we are staying aligned, we're doing the things that we need to with our mental, our physical, and our spiritual selves. We are giving to receive, we're staying open. How do we do it? Okay, let's break down a couple of ways. Before you even think about setting an intention, because so many people jump into these vision boards, jump into these journals without getting clear. Let's talk about getting clear. Get clear on what you want to experience in your life, not what you want. Get clear on what you want to experience in your life, not what you want. Again, what we want sometimes is what we are spiritually lacking. So a lot of that has to do with shadow work. How many of you have ever heard the word or the term shadow work? Let me know in the chat if you've ever heard the term shadow work. And be open if you have no idea what the hell it is. Because we hear again these spiritual buzzwords and people just throw them around like crazy now to sell these products and these tools and these coaching groups, but like nobody breaks down how to do it on our own, right? And nobody gives the affordable or the free resources to do the shadow work. Understanding your shadows, that's shadow work. That's it. For Jacqueline, who's here, she said, I've never heard of it. Shadow work is literally understanding your shadows. Elizabeth says, currently working with someone on shadow work. Yes, it's literally understanding your shadows, understanding, yes, we want to be love and light and we want to be, representative of the universe and the fact that we are like tiny universes in this big world. Well, we also, like, with light there comes shadows, and with the good that we're giving and receiving in the world, there comes things that we need to work on. So it's understanding our mindsets, our behaviors, our relationships, what things are and aren't working in alignment with our mind, body, and spirit. Before we start manifesting these things, we have to get clear on that, because again, you may get disappointed when you try to manifest this thing that isn't in alignment with you anyway. Does that make sense? So understanding your shadows, why they may come up and why you need to take care of them is especially important, because when we set our minds and our intentions and our lives to manifest this thing, to manifest this type of abundance, and this other thing comes up, we're going to be like, what? And that really rocks our faith. And this is not like trying to manifest abundance and claim our abundance is not a point where our faith needs to be rocked. If it does, then you need to examine your shadows. I'm going to give you an example, a personal example, because I can only talk about myself. Part of claiming my abundance this year was manifesting liberation, right? And that's my word for 2021. I always urge my communities to pick a word of intent for the year. And my word for 2021 was liberation. Part of that liberation had to do with my body. I'm a mom to a 3-year-old. I don't know if you guys heard when I came in and was speaking to Nikki and catching up with Nikki. I have a 3-year-old daughter, was pregnant in 2017, gained 50 pounds. My body has been out of whack hormonally for a while. And it's taken me a long time, and it's taken me through a very public journey, because I talk about wellness and like getting right with my body, not only because of the weight, because weight isn't everything, but just feeling healthier and also being the best vessel I could be for my work. Because Nikki will tell you, and if you guys join her groups often, or in Soul Teacher or in Soul Seeker, you know that your body is the vessel for these blessings to take place. If your body isn't right, your life isn't going to be right. So part of that was like liberating myself from things that were going on within my body, and just like having the best body I've ever had, and just like being in tune with myself and being able to like intuitively eat and like do things that were good for myself. That was the intention that I set in January. Okay. What happened next, I did not expect, but of course is the perfect illustration of what I mean by doing shadow work and being awake to the opportunities to come. Set this intention for like best possible body, best relationship with my body I've had yet. I'm just so happy I feel healthy. Right? Okay. What happens next is in February, I have a call with my physician where I get blood work done, regular blood work. And what's revealed is that I have all these things going on. I have anemia, never had anemia in my life. My hormones are totally out of whack. And there was some other stuff that was just really, really scary. Lucky for me, I have a friend of mine who is a nutritionist. And I was like, can you look at these results for me and tell me what's up? And she's just like, girl, what is happening? I end up signing up for this whole program to basically get my body back on track, spending a lot of money to like do this now. Thinking of this whole situation, one way I could have looked at it is how I could have been like, damn, I've tried to manifest this body or this like relationship with my body. And what I get in turn is my body feels like it's broken. It's going through all these massive things. I don't have faith anymore, right? What are intentions for if they work backwards? Could have thought like that. Or how I really think of it, and is why I'm sharing this with you, is that I realize that this is the opportunity for me to manifest what I really want. This is the opportunity, me seeing that my body needs work and my relationship to my eating, my relationship to my stress needs work, and fixing that and realizing my shadow work, why I brought myself to this point to begin with, will fix it from the root. Does that make sense? Are you guys following along? Sharing vulnerably my experience, but this is something that like happens to so many of us. While I'm talking, does anybody like, is it bringing up situations where you're like, damn, you know, if when I think about this, maybe I should have thought of it this way. When we shift our perspective, our whole reality literally changes, and that is what's so important. So I say that to say, get clear on what you want to experience in your life. Get clear on what you want to experience in your life in terms of the feelings. Like I said, again, not the specifics of what things look like. Get clear on how you want to feel. Like I said, I wanted to feel good in my body, and I got that. It literally took a month. Set the intention, got the blood results, did this thing all in a month's time. You know, if I would have set intentions like, which is what some people do, right? If I would have set intentions like, I have a six pack and I have rock hard guns and all these things. How long? I obviously don't got no guns, and I don't know if you can see my belly from here, but I obviously do not have a six pack. That would have taken me a long, long, long time to manifest, because it's something that I have a specific perceived outcome for, right? I'm looking to look at my body and see abs. I'm looking to look at my body and see this sort of physique. When I try to manifest the feeling instead, now I do feel healthier. You know, it's been a month since my exams, and like I signed up for this program, and I do feel healthier because I've corrected the problem for the root. So I just hope I'm really clear on that, because that's going to help mitigate a lot of problems, a lot of the miscommunications that we have with ourselves and that we have with the universe. Okay, so get clear on what you want to experience in your life. Next is set your intentions in whatever way you feel most connected by. I'm going to hold on that because we're going to talk about that next. And lastly is releasing expectations and staying open to receiving opportunities to manifest this. So again, if you take anything from this workshop, take with you that we have to release our expectations. We cannot be laser focused on what something looks like. For instance, something else, I'm sharing all the personal things today. I've wanted to move for a very, very long time. And instead of trying to manifest this specific home, I know I need more than 3 bedrooms. I know I need more than 3 bedrooms. I know I need certain things and certain amenities. I didn't write any of that down in my intention work, in my journals, and my vision board, anything like that. What I focused on was the feelings of what it would be like to wake up in a bright home, the feelings of what it would be like to have laundry in my building, the feelings of what it would be like to park my car with no problem. I live in Manhattan, for context. There's never any parking here. The feelings of what it would be like to have a client or somebody come to my home and sit in my office. Yes, Inwood in the house. Hey, I try to I'm focusing on manifesting the feelings instead of writing something down like, well, I live in this home that has 3 bedrooms and I have a garage and I have this. Like, that's fine, but again, it might take you a while to manifest this thing, and you end up losing your faith in the long run. You end up not seeing how you are connected to this thing because you're disconnecting yourself through ego, through perception. Okay, very, very important. So let's talk about specifics. How do we manifest, right? One of the ways that we can manifest and claim our abundance is through meditation. How many of us meditate? Tell me if you meditate. Tell me if you don't meditate, and if it's because you feel like you can't. Be honest. Be honest. Every day, Jamie says. Michelle says, I try. Elizabeth says, yes. Every morning, beginner at it. Yes, rarely. I'm a poor meditator. I don't believe in poor meditators, okay? I don't believe in that. Better self-talk. I don't much, but it's hard, right? So let's talk about meditation. Meditation is so loaded. Everybody talks about meditation. I didn't start meditating, and Nikki knows this, as hard as I did until I met Nikki. I knew it. Again, I've been in the wellness world for a very long time. And I always talked about like, oh, meditation is not for me. Do what you want, which I'm still very like big, like do whatever fits you and do whatever you feel connected to. But meditation is so important to just our peace of mind and our connection with our mind, body, and spirit. But meditation can also be a way that you can claim your abundance. It is literally a way to achieve mental clarity and an emotional calm and stable state, which is important when you're setting an intention. You need to be calm, like I said again, so that you can be able to embody the feeling. More than that, meditation is important because it helps you quiet the external noise and focus on the in the intuition. I cannot tell you how many times I'm doing a reading, I'm doing an energy reading, and I go into the person's third eye, and I can see their manifestation, I can see their perceived outcome, right? But before that, there are so many other people's voices, so much conditioning. Again, conditioning is a big, yes, reframing. I am a meditator in training. Love it, Jacqueline. Before I get to their perceived, like what they want to manifest, what they want to feel in their life, there's all these other voices and conditioning. Part of the reason why we want to manifest something is because society or culture or families or friends have told us that this is the type of life that we need to be living. How many of y'all have felt that? As a woman, I feel that. As an American woman, I feel that. As a first generation American woman, I feel that. As a Latina, I feel that. We are taught to want certain things, which is why we focus on meditating them. That is not a place of intention. That's not. Place of intention comes from you, whether or not that serves anybody else. So you're not going to manifest something that doesn't serve you and that just serves your family and friends. That's not how it works. So being able to meditate is quieting the external factors that are trying to get you to think about this certain thing or trying to interrupt you from focusing on this thing, and just focusing on it, focusing your intention and communicating with your spirit. Not only that, but calming your body down, your mind down, so that you can calm your vibration down, so that you can have clear communication with spirit and with your spiritual teams. I'm sure if you're here, you know what a spirit guide is. You know that you have access to spirit guides. I'm sure Nikki's teaching you all about that. She taught, me about how to meet my spirit guides. I met a lot of my guides because of my work with Nikki, and it's a really beautiful thing. Match that with my science knowledge. I'm a big time nerd, and it's just like a match made in heaven. We are, again, we are these like universes living in human bodies. We are these spirits having this human experience, but like we are also human. We are matter. We are literally made out of matter, and matter has energy, and matter has an electromagnetic field, and we are always vibrating on a certain frequency. So when we meditate, we are calming ourselves down enough to clearly communicate our frequency to spirit. Does that make sense? It's so important and also so beautiful when you walk out of a meditation and feel like, I'm so glad that I have set that intention in my heart, that I was able to communicate that calmly. Now I can release it and have full faith and confidence that everything that's going to happen moving forward is for my greatest and highest good. And just for my best and possible evolution, that I'm going to get the opportunities to shift in the ways that I need to. These are all affirmations, by the way. Feel free to use them. I am going to shift in the ways that I need to, and I'm going to be open to receiving the opportunities that I need to shift in the ways that I need to in order to become the person that has this thing, that has this relationship, that has this home, that has this career, that has this, state of health, whatever it is that you want to manifest. Okay. I'm big on affirmations as well. Very, very big. I don't think I added that to the list, but that helps. It's also a form of meditation, is affirmations. So love meditation. If you are not into it, I always say start off with guided meditations. Not everybody's voice is cute and not everybody's voice is for you. Find somebody that you really enjoy. There are meditations everywhere. Nikki obviously has her own. I'm working on my library of meditations. There are a bunch on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, literally everywhere. But find somebody whose voice you really connect with, because our voices are a frequency as well. Find somebody's voice that you can connect with. Deepak has amazing meditation albums. There's one that he has in particular that I don't remember the name of it, but he goes through the entire alphabet and he says, like, talks about something like A, I think, is abundance. And he talks about each letter of the alphabet in some way. But find somebody's voice that you really resonate with and keep going and crack yourself wide open. 2, we already kind of touched on this already, but journaling and vision boarding. I have pictures of my vision boards in this photo. These are my vision boards for the last 3 years. That's not my vision boards from now. That one's a little sacred. I'll show y'all that, in a YouTube video soon. But journaling and vision boarding is a beautiful way to manifest. Again, it can get tricky if you're focusing on specific things. So if you look at my boards, if you want to zoom in, I don't know if you can do that on Zoom, but there's a lot of words. There's a lot of words. Looking at this right now, I have like share your voice, a voice to be reckoned with. Everything is illuminated. Watching your business grow. There's nothing there that says like 6-figure whatever, because one, I know it wasn't going to be a 6-figure business in that year. You also have to be realistic. I know, people who are like living in the margins that want to manifest $1 million, career. It just may not be feasible, sis. We want to stay realistic as well. So you'll notice that I have a lot of words here, a lot, and I'm very mindful that when I'm putting words and things down on a vision board, that they are going to result in this sort of test and this opportunity for me to show up and be the person that has this manifestation. So I'm very mindful to not put negative words on a vision board, to have a picture of me in the middle so that I'm surrounded. My year is, surrounded by all these things. If you want to learn more about my vision boards, my tips, my tricks, whatever, I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Melanie Santos, and you can look at that there. My last one was from 2020. I did not do one for 2021 because y'all know what 2020 was like. Wasn't mentally prepared for it, but I'm always doing free calls with my community about vision boarding and setting intentions. So you can learn there. And then journaling. Journaling is so special. How many of you journal? How many of you want to journal but don't? Also very big demographic of people who, look up to people who journal but don't necessarily do it. Journaling is so special and so important. I actually started off talking about abundance and manifesting it through journaling. I have 2 very popular videos on YouTube about moon rituals, which are a way that you get to journal out the things that you want to manifest, the things that you want to bring into your life, and the things that you want to release from your life. So you can catch that on my YouTube channel. I don't necessarily resonate with a lot of the information I gave there because that was like 4 years ago. I was actually pregnant in the videos when I filmed it, but I'm going to be filming an update video on that. But the framework still stands true. I give a lot of education about, what I'm talking about here, the ways that we are connected to the universe and like why we are able to manifest abundance. But literally writing something down in present tense as if you already have it is so powerful. Beyond that, when you're writing, you're putting pen to a paper, the energies that are coming out of your arm and onto the pen and onto your hand, and just like you're transmuting that energy. You are embodying, the things that you are writing. It's a really, really beautiful thing. Really, really special. Journaling, vision board, big proponent on that. And then next, I have the Claim of Abundance workbook, which Nikki might have mentioned when we started off the call. And what the hell is this? This is my product. I'm not here to be a salesperson, not at all here to sell you this, but it is a very beautiful, very powerful tool that I created almost 5 years ago when I was trying to set intentions for myself. And I realized I didn't have a specific template that met all the needs that I had, something that would work for me, because I didn't want to make a vision board that year, or I wanted to have something to supplement my vision board. And I'm like, you know what? Yay, thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth said I purchased it in 2018 for 2019. It's a very powerful tool. I'm not going to go down the list and read you the testimonials, but we've had people manifest insane weight loss, babies after having infertility, homes after being homeless, raises at jobs. And not because I'm promising magic, I'm promising you that you're going to have the education that you need, a lot of which I shared with you here today, to think about your situation differently, to shift your mindset so that you're able to see the opportunities that come to you, to do your shadow work, to take care of the mindsets, behaviors, and things that are keeping you from manifesting your abundance and really doing it. And also creating the rituals in this workbook that are going to help seriously communicate this with the universe. So it's a really powerful tool. Like I said, this is the 4th iteration of it. It's gone from one single page that I gave out as a free download back in 2017, I think, to this 31 page. It's still fairly affordable. 31 page workbook. It's actually a kit. Along with the workbook, there's a calendar that notes down all the cosmic goings on that are going on, because I'm very big on like as above, so below, again, because we are connected to the universe. Whatever's happening with the planets also help us out, and we can use that for our self-care. We can use that for our shadow work. We can use that for manifesting and releasing. So it notes down all the retrogrades and full and new moon dates so that we know when to and when not to do things. But this workbook is so freaking powerful. It really, really is. It helps you really center yourself and clarify what it is that you want to manifest in the next 12 months. Along with the workbook, there are 2 meditations. I'm telling you, I'm mentioning all these things for a reason. There are 2 meditations that I guide myself to help release the things that we're holding on to from the year before. So it doesn't have to be in January. You can do a Claim of Abundance workbook any point in the year. So you can release what you're holding on to from the last 12 months, and you can properly prepare your spirit for this work. There are beautiful consciousness expanding activities within the workbook. I know you're probably wondering what the hell is in the workbook. There are several, 7 to be exact, activities to help you get clear on what it is that you want, help you get clear on what you want to release. And then, but the most important part of this, I'm like stumbling over my words because I love it so much, is this letter template that I created. Here's a preview of it. I don't know if you can see it in the screen, but this letter template is how this Claim of Abundance started. So like all my workbooks always pay homage to this letter template. And it's basically a letter that you are writing to yourself from the future. So in the Claim of Abundance, it's as if I'm writing a letter from Melanie at the end of 2021 to me now with all the things that I've manifested. The same thing as if you're setting an intention. So like, dear Melanie, this is future you writing to you from the end of 2021. And we focus on going through the chakras, manifesting things for our mental health, our physical, our authenticity, our hearts, our love, our joy, the way that we experience it, our harmony, our balance, our money, our jobs, vacations, our how we experience joy, again, like our sexuality. It's really beautiful. It's a really, really well thought out. I'm not just saying that because I made it, but it's a really, really well thought out workbook. Y'all are in luck. I didn't plan it to be this way, but it turned out this way. I realized that before I jumped onto the call. It's on sale right now. It's $10 off. If you go to melaniesantos.co, it's going to be $10 off, and it's automatically discounted at checkout. So feel free to purchase that now or moving forward. But it's a really, really powerful way to like kind of do all the things that we've been talking about in this workbook. Also, all the education that I've shared with you here is in the workbook as well. So if you end up, like I always say, forgetting, you can turn to your workbook and just like read it over and just remind yourself that you don't need to be stressed. You don't need to be stressed. You are literally here to manifest abundance. It is our birthright, no matter who you are, where you come from, what you look like, what type of money you make, where you live. It is our birthright to live a life abundant in joy, in peace, in financial stability, in love, and all these things that create an abundant life. Okay. Now we're going to Q&A. Let's look at the Q&A section and make sure that you guys have your questions in there. How are we feeling? There are no questions in the Q&A. I know that you guys have questions, so feel free to ask, and I will answer them here. I know that was a lot of information, but it's really so important, the topics that we touched on and the points that we touched on, because they go forgotten along this journey, and they're really, really important. Okay. Jacqueline Brea asks, how can I learn more about shadow work? Like I said, shadow work is a buzzword, but it really just means looking at our mindsets, looking at our behaviors, looking at all the things, the relationships that we have to the things in our life, our relationships to the people in our lives, the relationships to our work, our careers, our jobs, our relationships to the way that we eat, to the way that we dress, to the way that our relationships to everything, and really taking a look at what is separating us from being the versions of us that we really want to be. You can do that on your own. I'm sure if you type in shadow work on YouTube, on Google, there will be a million things. You can follow me online as well. I'm always talking about these topics. I have my own community as well, where we're always diving into these topics, where we have these soul circles, where we have these community sessions where we're talking about the tough things, and also diving into the shadow work with each other. I think that one of the best ways to dive into shadow work is not doing it alone. I'm very, very big on community, which is why I said yes to Nikki when she offered me the opportunity to talk to you guys, because community is so important. Not only education, but just like sharing openly, being vulnerable with the people that you feel comfortable with. So if you have a group of girlfriends or guy friends or whatever friends, family members, or maybe just your partner, one person, all you need is one person to create community with, where you can sit down weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever, and talk about, hey, I really want to be this version of myself, but like, let's break down the ways that are like, I'm blocked. How am I blocking myself? It's a beautiful way to do that. So shadow work is like a really big word for like things that we're constantly doing. And it really helps to break it down into something that we can incorporate into our self-care. We don't often think about self-care incorporating shadow work, but it is. Self-care is not only about the bubble baths, it's also about the boundaries and the things that we set in place to care for ourselves. So very long answer, but I hope that you are following along. Okay. Anonymous says, how can we ask for signs properly and make sure that we receive them when given? This is a tricky question, okay? Tricky because when people ask this question, I feel like part of it is a little bit ego. Like, how can I get a sign about this thing that I want to manifest? That's what it usually, like, the question usually is. How can I stay open to the opportunity? Sometimes we aren't, because sometimes it is like a big red flag, like, hello, this is the thing that you wanted, are you ready? Because it's your turn to show up for it. And sometimes it's not. Like I mentioned with my personal experience with my health being something that I wanted to manifest, it wouldn't have been a red flag to somebody who wasn't self-aware, to somebody who wasn't aware. So again, we should always be working on ourselves, on our own personal development, on our own spiritual development, doing the meditations, doing the journaling, doing the working out, so that we can clear ourselves up enough to be able to see it and to hear it. There are certain people that will be like, or certain healers or whatever, people in the wellness and spiritual community that will be like, yeah, if you want to ask, for a sign, you should ask for, like, you can tell your spirit guide, like, send me a red butterfly if this thing is going to come true. And that's okay, but you have to be very careful about trying to manipulate the universe and trying to manipulate spirit, because again, spirit is not our errand boy. And I know that may not rock with a lot of people, but it's my truth. It's something that I really I stick to, because we also want to have respect and reverence for the process and for our own process. We also want to have trust in ourselves. A lot of the times why we think we need signs for the signs some people think we need the little butterfly or the bunny or the thing so that we can see the signs, is because we don't trust our own judgment, because we don't trust that we have a strong enough intuition to be able to see it on our own. And that's a lie. We absolutely do. And Nikki, I'm sure, will tell you the same thing. Our intuitions are so Can I curse? Because they're so fucking strong. They are so strong. We are so strong. It doesn't take like a psychic or whatever. Like, yes, these readings and these clarity readings do help. But the point of that is to help us get to the root of our shadows, to the root of what's the opportunities that are ahead for us to really take a full advantage of our blessings. I'm going to answer this one first. Natalia says, do you have any resources or tips around how to shift our energy or beliefs around money? Ooh, as a daughter of immigrants, I've noticed that we can carry a sense of pride in the struggle that we get from our parents that causes blocks around wealth. Natalia, louder. I'm going to read that again. As a daughter of immigrants, I've noticed that we carry a sense of pride in the struggle that we get from our parents that causes blocks around wealth. If you came a little bit late, you might not have noticed that Nikki said, as immigrants or first generation Americans, or just people of color, people in the margins, whatever, a lot of us have really deep root chakra issues. And the root chakra is where you're looking at basic needs, where you're looking at money and stability and housing and like all these things that equate to financial liberation and financial abundance. I do have a resource. It's just not out yet. And it's just kind of prompting me to release it, or at least have like an Instagram live session where we're talking about this again. About 2 years ago, I held a session with a friend of mine, Desi from DesiDoesIt.com, who was able to manifest this great abundance and all these opportunities to like save the money for her to pay off over, I think over $60,000 in debt in 3 years. Also a daughter of immigrants, regular job. And it's just like, what I really wanted to do with her is to talk about how does she break apart these mindsets? How does she separate herself from the mindsets that kept her dragged down? Because so many of us are drowning in debt, especially student loan debt, right? Am I alone? I got thousands and thousands here myself from acquiring my degree. So it's really important, one, that Natalia noticed, like that we do carry a sense of pride in the struggle sometimes, whether you're a child of an immigrant or not. Sometimes, yes, society teaches us that like we have to work hard. We got to work hard to get what we want. And like, yes, partially that's true. Again, intention is nothing without action, and action is nothing without intention. But we don't have to work harder than we need to. Part of that, part of claiming your abundance is aligning with it, and that has nothing to do with struggle. And that's something that's very difficult, especially for immigrants and kids of immigrants and first generation, second generation, whatever, is that we don't need to struggle. Especially important for Americans who are taught to work hard and like be in this sort of like rat race cycle of like 9 to 5. And like, I'm not completely out of that cycle myself. I have awareness of it. That's what helps me. Very important question. This resource, I'm going to talk to Desi and see if I can release it, because it was an amazing event. I still have the recording of it. She also gave access to her tool that she used to break up her payments, her net worth. Like, how many of us at like 20 something are thinking about our net worth? 30 something, 40 something, right? Are thinking about our net worth, negative or positive. I'm trying to think of any like specific spiritual based resources about how to shift our beliefs around money. And the first one that comes to mind is a book that changed my outlook on abundance in my early 20s, when I was starting to awaken to the fact that I was this microcosm in the macrocosm. And the name of that book is The Law of Divine Compensation. I'm going to type it in the chat, and it's by Marianne Williamson. The Law of Divine Compensation. Really good, quick read. I've read it several times, gave it to my husband to read, gave it to my mom to listen on Audible in Spanish. Like, it's written in different languages. My husband's actually reading it for the 4th time now. We are big, he's a big money guy. Very into generational wealth, but that's a really good book with really beautiful spiritual roots that teach you about abundance, teach you about specifically financial abundance and like manifesting your ideal career. So I would pick up that book. I'm sure it's on Amazon for like really, really cheap, but that's one resource that comes to mind. And Marianne Williamson, who you guys may know, also wrote the book A Return to Love, which is also a great resource that has to do with shadow work and like really looking at ourselves in a different way. Always has like free talks and things going on. So I think that's a great resource. keep asking your questions. I don't know how much time we have left, but we've been here for an hour and 15. Anonymous said, will you be mentoring others on their spiritual journey? Any type of coaching? I don't coach. I do have one-on-one sessions available. Like I told you, I was trained by Nikki. I think my sessions are amazing. And I think everybody has their own style and their own thing that they focus on. What I really focus on in my readings is personal work, the shadow work, what's coming up for you in terms of energy blocks that are blocking you from being this, this person, this really abundant, living in this really abundant life. I have a few sessions left for April. I'm taking a little bit of a break in May because I'm moving. I manifested the place, it's coming. But then I'm going to continue on through May and June. But these one-on-one sessions, I'm saying this humbly, but they're really, really amazing. I know the type of change that I've been able to affect in people's lives just by like showing up on podcasts and like Instagram. So like now to be in conversation and to be in the energy and be able to examine and receive the types of information that I'm able to receive from people's spirit guides is really, really special. So I invite you all, if you feel connected to me in any way, to visit me on melaniesantos.co. I'm actually going to put my stuff on the screen so that you can see what I'm talking about, where to find me. Shameless plug on my Pop Sugar article. But that's where you can connect on me. I'm on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm also on TikTok, but I'm not using my TikTok as much as I should, but I will because I love it. Yeah, all my information about all my offerings are there. Somebody just asked, how does one join your community? Again, everything's on my website in terms of offerings, readings. My membership is there and all the benefits that it offers. But I have loved speaking to you guys. If nobody has any other questions, we can invite Nikki back on. Such an important topic, especially in this year, after the year that we've had. How are we feeling? How are we feeling? Share in the chat. Hopeful. Let me stop sharing my screen. How do I do this?
Hi.
Hey.
I'm stuffing Easter eggs as you talk, Melanie.
You're better than me. You're better than me. I'm probably not going to do anything for Easter. My daughter's
for school, for the kids for school, I'm the worst at it. Melanie, that was amazing and just so, I mean, it was informative, but it was also just very eye-opening, and like you just gave so much to us, and I'm just so grateful. And I'm just so grateful to you. That was so, how was that, you guys? Did you love it? I loved it. I was stuffing,
so many gold nuggets. Thank you.
So we'll have this on replay, and also you shared like your kit, like how to.
Yeah, so I'm gonna type my website in the chat. So it's melaniesantos.co, not .com. But it's on sale until Sunday, so go and grab that.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so she has a lot of book a reading with her. She's an amazing intuitive. I mean, we're just so proud of everything that you're doing, and it's just been such a blessing. I was so excited that you said yes when I asked you to come on.
Thank you for having me. You have an amazing community of your own. I'm glad that everybody was like, yes, we're good. Keep going. Like that always keeps me energized.
Well, these people are your people, Melanie. So it's all of ours. So thank you for being here with us. Enjoy your rest. I will catch up on you on the other side. Yes. And just thank you. Thanks for sharing everything. And, Soul Collective is always here to support you. As you can see, all these women are just so excited to be with you. So thanks, my friend.
Thank you all. I wish you all a beautiful evening, year, life. Go claim that abundance, y'all.
Yes. Thank you. We are all going to do that right now. Manifest, do all the things.
Yes. Bye, everybody.